Hello and welcome to the Glittervoid podcast. It's me, your wildest dream, your worst nightmare, and Titan of Joy, Jubilee.
Hi, yeah, I'm Deena. I'm the other one who's here. How you doing,
It's
Jubilee?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a lot less cold than it has been, which is great. I was walking around going, "Oh, it's only like 35 degrees. Do I need a coat?" Kind of a deal because it's been very cold lately. So
Yes.
I frequently am walking around the apartment with cans of rattle primer, like between a couple of layers of shirts, and I'll often forget about them until I stand up and then I drop them on the ground and scare everyone. Um, so I'm glad it there's less time for me to lose track of the rattle cans of primer.
Reasons I'm glad I have an airbrush. My partner actually asked me
I
this
have an
morning.
airbrush. Me.
Yeah, yeah. I primed this morning
You know what?
specifically because you could do it inside.
You
Suck
think
it.
you're so freaking cool. This is like a 12-year-old can of rattle primer. I'm sure it's not good. Oh, so Dina, what's performing in action on in your opponent's hold on, I got this. I'm crushing this, and this is what genius looks like. What is performing in action in your opponent's deployment zone this week?
Sabotage.
Uh, Sabotage? No, what's making you happy this week in or out of the hobby?
Oh, so many things. It's been a really good couple weeks for me. It's been a little bit since we've recorded. I got a new cat. I got a new partner, as I mentioned. I picked up a commission like 2 hours ago. Um,
And all three of these things are not the same thing, correct?
Correct. um, so the cat, my sister moved in with me a couple of months ago, and a friend of hers had a cat that was looking to get rehomed because it's great with other cats, but not great with babies, and was
Oh
attacking
no.
one of their children. So
Oh
now I
no.
have a black cat named Spooky.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
Spooky moved
I
in
haven't even seen
on
a picture of Spooky, which is shame on you. But I
I haven't even
already
been able
love
to
them.
get pictures of Spooky because Spooky likes to hide in my closet,
And
or under
Spooky's a
my
black
bed.
cat, which is very easy to take pictures
Yes.
of.
So easy, especially because I keep my house dark because my sister works graveyards, so either my office or the kitchen are the only rooms in the house that have lights on. Um, uh, just started a relationship that's going really well. And then today I got a message out of nowhere from someone I haven't spoken to in months. Said, "Hey, you remember that I asked you to paint tech lists for me? I'm ready to pay you for that now. So I'm
Nice.
going to start working on a parade ready quality tech list here in the next couple of
What?
weeks. We're also getting ready for a big teams tournament at the end of March that I've been invited to be on
I'm
one of
Googling
the
what
teams.
Techless is because I don't know.
Declix is the god for the Lumineth Realm Lords faction.
Ooh. Is it that
It's
big
basically Alariel but different shaped.
Techless? Come on.
Do, 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 do.
I love
Um,
web browsers. Oh, I'm
yeah,
not
it's a big
crazy
model.
about the mount, but Techless themselves is very cool.
We're going to
Yeesh.
redo the color scheme on it. The client has asked for like a green and kind of a coppery color
Ooh.
for like the actual armor, and then I get discretion on how to paint the mount to try and match it. I haven't decided on the way to do that yet and how much basing I'm going to be doing to kind of like round it out, but I've got a couple ideas. Um, but it'll be a nice big commission project, and
Oh yeah.
I enjoy good commission projects. I do commissions, by the way. Um,
If you want your stuff to look as good as these, well, aren't you already in like number two for our local hobbying?
no, you are, I thought.
No. Oh,
Oh,
they just posted the updated as of this last tournament, which we're going to talk about later in the episode. Um,
yes.
I know because I was number two in Xenos, which is going to be something which is yeah.
So
I
let's just
saw
jump
my
right
name down
into.
there and I
First of
was like,
all, what's making you happy in the hobby, in or out of the hobby?
Cherry Garcia ice cream. Um,
What?
I am not a sweets person. I don't know if my actual borderline dislike of most sweet things um comes up as much when I'm around you, but I like really specific a couple of candies. I don't like chocolate. I don't like baked goods. Most ice cream is, it's just nasty. And something about we were trying to find, trying to support the very good company of Ben and Jerry's. And I was like, I remember liking this Cherry Garcia, and it's so good. It's like dark chocolate chips. It's a pretty mild ice cream, and then it's got like sour cherries in it. It's delicious. And I think this is the first time I've done something outside of the hobby. So
I
it's
think
not a
you're
lot deeper
correct.
than that. Oh, it's good. Go
You're
buy
you're
some.
just all in on the hobby all the time, aren't you?
A real, yeah. I'm very lucky that my partner is also uh, interested in this. This
It goes
week
a long way.
we're gonna talk about since you were talking about painting, I'm gonna do my we're gonna talk about two things this episode. We're gonna talk about the tournament in a little bit here, but I'm gonna talk about a thing that I don't know is particularly relatable, but it is very artistically interesting. One of my longtime followers on TikTok, um, uh, was just kind of messaging me, and I sent pictures of some stuff I'm working on, and uh, asked me if I was interested in Tau. And I'm like, sure, Tau are cool because I had literally just painted a random Necron model for a friend. And he goes, I have like 1,300 points of Tau. That I haven't touched since before COVID. Would you like them? And I was in this weird position where I'm like, because of the way I approach army, like deciding the armies. I mean, I've been talking to you for months about a word bearer's army that I'm going to eventually start. Um, it has to be a very big combination of to justify purchasing an army. I need to like the lore a little bit. I need to like the aesthetic a little bit, or like what I'm going to be able to do with the aesthetic. See my Death Guard, and I have to like the mechanics. Tau lore is intriguing as trying to be the good guys of the long and short of it is Tau are probably 20 if or lower in the list of armies I would be interested in starting from absolute scratch to get it. But no, I'm not going to look a gift army in the mouth. And so it's just been this really interesting thing where I'm sitting here going, oh, have, you know, I have these very vague ideas. In fact, I got very lost last night painting some of the first models that I got primed, where I was like, okay, I figured out the purple that I want for the main armor color. And then I was like, what else do I do? Because I'm used to looking for the Imperial Aquillas, the filigree, the Chaos trim, the tools, the dirty rags. But I'm just like, it's a robot. It's like all robot. There's like a little bit of cloth, but it's mostly machine. And it's been really interesting trying to come up with a color scheme. And yeah, like I said, it's not the most relatable thing, but um, it's interesting having this opportunity to work to come from a place of not knowing a lot about it and not thinking about it a whole lot. I faced Hal on the board a couple of times, and it's always been with my Sisters of Battle, and Sisters are very good into Tau. So I haven't been like impressed by them, but then every time I read about them, I go, Jesus Christ, these railguns are strength 20. Interesting.
That was like the nice rhino you had.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hitting on three. It's like, that's okay. Wounding on, let's see, strength 20. Most things on twos. Interesting, interesting.
Yeah, heck,
Um,
anything less than a land raider should be hitting on twos.
yeah, I saw a re-roll the damage on some Melta Crisis suits. I'm like, oh, that's really good. Or you can choose to re-roll the damage on Crisis suits. I'm like, it's very interesting. And um, I'm playing my first one. I guess sisters now don't have a lot of melee really, but it's not nothing. Sisters do want to occasionally get into it with you, usually for martyrdom reasons. But yeah, Tau don't
Sisters,
fight at all, do they?
sisters like we're okay if we get into combat. It sucks, but we don't want to be here, but we'll live. Tau, you get into combat and you pick up the models.
I mean, I literally would charge Tau with my regular battle sisters, and you know,
Exactly. Like Tau are a explicitly shooting army. Sisters are a mostly shooting army.
yeah, yeah. They certainly, yeah. But it's just, like I said, I'm at the very beginning of this. I haven't bought the codex yet, so everything is just very slowly looked at on totally legitimate websites, and so it's kind of freeing in that way because I'm like, well, I'm gonna paint what's here and see if just having a bunch of them is enough or if I want to keep playing with it. And I also stumbled upon a really cool icy base that I'm excited about. And so now I'm getting into some
It looks
snow
really good.
effects, and it's just like I was like, huh, the the next several armies that I was even vaguely thinking about. I don't think any of them would have had a snow base at some point. So it's already leading me places. It's having me go crazy OSL. Like I think most of what, one little stealth suit has like 11 points of OSL on them, which is just a little bit of dry brush and some
That's a lot
ink, but
of
I'm just
OSL.
yeah, but it's been interesting. You were saying over the you were saying you were saying during the our prep, you were talking about an orc army. Is that an orc army you have or had?
Yes. So about a month and a half ago, a friend of mine who got really into the hobby and has a tendency to like lean really hard in, picks into things. She loves conversions. She actually did, I think, like 25 kilocan conversions from scratch. Like not a single orc piece went into these models.
Whoa.
And then she just kept getting more and more and more and more and more and never played. And then she's like, these are causing me stress. I need to get them out of my house. Deena, you'll be a good home to these. Here's almost 3,000 points of works.
Damn.
Most of them are still on the sprue. Um, so I have a
Hey, we
whole,
both have orc army on the sprue. This isn't mine though, so
I still have about 3,000 points of orcs, including Gaz, a bunch of commandos. I have 30 knobs, or not knobs, goblin, or Gretchen. There's 30 Gretchen. I've been talking every so often here. I've been playing more time League here. One of the next warbands I want to do eventually is work on them. This is going to be a little bit of a segue for us to move into the other stuff, but they're going to sit in that box until I finish all of my backlog of painting that's getting speed run, so I can A, start on this commission, and B, be ready for the teams tournament coming up. Um, which I'll get into the whole nuance on that once we get into the recourse of this weekend, where we played the normal RTT event, usually where we meet
dad.
up. It was a lot of fun. You played Gene Stealer Cult, right?
I did. It was my first it it's so hard to quantify uh, it's hard to quantify how many games you play because I played like close to 100 games with my sisters before the Codex came out. Um, I know because I had like 85 games in my my battle app log, and I know there's a bunch of them early on that I didn't. And late tournament, I'll just be like, "Do you want to keep score? Thank you. Oh my God, I can't mess with the app anymore." But
My brain is
post
frying.
Codex,
Help
it was
me.
yeah, post Codex, it feels completely different because I was bouncing between detachments and I've played a lot of games with it, but it got very different. With Gene Stealers, it's also the same thing where I had the army. The Codex came out at the same time, but I was more interested in Sisters. I just got it painted in December, and I've been playing a couple of games with Biosynctic Brood Surge, very melee focused. This is my first. It was my first RTT in 2 months, and it was my first. I've only played. I think I've only played 3 games since the 5 millionth release
Mhm.
of the Cult Ambush rule. Which I'm loving. I'm loving the new way of doing it. I like that it's set, it's fixed. You're not worrying about RNG. I think it could be a little more generous with the points, but not a lot more. It feels like a good amount of yeah. So then if you I don't know I know Gene Stealers is a very unpopular faction, but the new way of doing it is not roll a random dice to see if a unit comes back. You have a resource called requisition points that you spend on your item. And realistically, it's like 2 great units, 3 good units, or like 4 or 5 bad units. I'm intrigued to study. I don't have the models for it, but I'm intrigued to study the way because you can get 5 units of the 10 neophytes or the 5 uh,
Hmm.
acolytes from coming back. So you could, in their battle lines, you could have 50 of them on the board, and that's not even 500 points right there. And that can all come back.
That is a lot.
Yeah, they're T3, 5 up, no invuln, but that's a lot of bodies to keep throwing at things. You can just keep throwing chunks of them somewhere and at least be places. Um, that would be intriguing to try if I had I'm pretty sure I will never paint the rest of my neophytes because I've painted 30 of them. That's enough.
I wager there's an element of like determining the effectiveness of play that is based in figuring out which of the things you want to bring back when you don't want to bring back your big brick. Because like the ability to bring back your big brick is kind of like the staple thing. You've got I think it's what 10 aberrants is you can return 10 aberrants.
Yeah, then that's everything. That's your
Yeah,
10 requisition points that you get in a Strike Force game.
like that is the type of thing that you plan around because it's your big thing. But the skill expression manifests when you start to see what what other things you want to bring back instead. When do you want to bring neophytes instead? And that's I think an element of the skill expression of the that attachment and that whole new index that I think makes them really cool.
I have thought about it because like my standard thing was because the pure strains you can bring back 15 total pure strains, which is quite good because they have advance in charge. You can usually get them to drop in relative safety and then advance them and then charge them. And in that detachment too, you've got bonuses to charge, and you can drop them into you can deep strike them 9 inches away. You've already got +1 to charge. If you line it up right with and spend a command point and charge 2 things at the same time, you now have a +3 to your charge. Your 9 inches become a 6 inch. That has only failed like once or so for me. Um, it was really good. I had an interesting time with it. I only went 1 and 2 because there's some fine tuning of the other parts of my army. Lots of aberrants, lots of pure strains. That's great. That's easy to figure out in manageable amounts that can be easily there's lots of combinations of those things which infiltrate and advance in charge and tend to get destroyed first. The rest of the army was doing a pretty bad job of doing um, a lot of what I needed them to. And that's where I lost the game. Like I had the mean ultramarine list literally backed into its 2 farthest corners. And just the problem was is 2 groups of like aggressors deep struck in in a really challenging area and just, mowed down my backfield. And then I was just behind on primary. But the fact that that list could not get out of its deployment zone without deep striking, certainly what, maybe it's a spiritual revenge for all of the times the pressure list has completely trapped me in my deployment zone. But I also faced the really mean 120 infantry Death Guard list. I have a beautiful picture. I gotta post it somewhere. I think it's my 15 Gene Stealers and 10 Aberrants in the deployment zone of the Death Guard against a wall of 60 Poxwalkers and like 16 Plague Marines and like 9 Terminators, and it's spectacular. That game did not go well because I just, oh, nothing died. The 5 up feel no pains for days. We got through 2 rounds in 3 hours, and we're both experienced players. And I, I, I looked at the board and was like, I'm not getting anywhere on this. Like, you have all of my units trapped in a, with poxwalkers. So every time one of mine, I'll destroy two, and then you'll destroy one, and one will come back, and they're just like, we're gonna sit here for 3 turns. So I felt very comfortable giving up that one. I wasn't gonna. I lost. There were 3 different parts where I only lost by 6 points. I guess technically 7. And there are multiple parts where I pointed out. I helped him with there was a terraform happening on turn 1 in 2 places. One went off, one didn't. Mainly because I asked him what the range of Gilliman's Hand of Dominion was. Because he put all these guns into a unit of Aberrants who was doing an action. Um, and because I was like, well, they're tough. They're gonna be able to do that, which was actually something I probably should have done on all 3. That would have swept my primary at that point. Give it a
It was a long
turn,
way.
but he put all these guns into the one unit of Aberrants. There was 1 wound left, and he had no other shots on it. And he goes to the other side of the board and goes, I guess Gilliman's gonna shoot at the unit behind the thing he's about to charge. And I go, what's the range on Hand of Dominion? And he's like 30. There was 30 inches or 36 inches, and I was like, he's right there. He's on 1 wound, which I shouldn't have done. I also should have done containment on turn 1, on both sides with all of my little units. There were several things that I could have done, but that was a very close game against that awful Ultramarine list that gets like 30 command points over 5 turns.
Mm.
Not really, but
I I played into that player at the Atomic City, and I did something very similar where I ran a Great Unseen one into his Land Raider on turn 1 in the middle of the board and just tied up half of his board behind it because of the positioning. Because he had so many vehicles, and it was just a
was
map
that on the
where,
like the long bricks of terrain,
yeah, it
or
was
was
the
that?
last one for that event.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
No,
I
that
had
was a rough.
gone round 4 into an incredible Blood Angels player who we played regularly. Learned a whole bunch from that game, and I went, okay, I'll take all of these lessons and then immediately apply them here. And I bullied that Blood Angels player, and I felt really good about it. Or not Blood Angels, Ultramarines player. Um, just keeping Gilliman pinned in behind the wall was just hilarious to me.
My 10 aberrants destroyed the Impulsor Crusader Interrogator, whatever it's called, and Gilliman because they have a strat that's +1 to wound against monsters and vehicles. So they're 5, the wounding on 5s becomes wounding on 4s, and then I'm pretty sure the Abominant would have soloed the Land Raider. Or not, the Impulsor.
The tank.
Repulsor. Yeah. It's basically the Land Raider. That was very fun. It was just like, oh, oh, and then Gilliman went down, he got up, and then with some other stuff wiped them, and then the Aberrant got up and killed Gilliman again.
Oh, excuse me. Awesome. Well,
I've
it
been mostly
you
talking
had
about
your
my last game was into a very nice but a very infantry focused Deathwatch player. I lost 2 games in a row, so I was just having fun, but it was a really good learning game. This guy said, I think he said he'd been playing since 1996, like 3rd edition or something like that, and he was like, this is the first time in 10th edition my Deathwatch have fought Xenos. It didn't go well for them. I think the game was 100-31. Um, the just everything I had was like at a perfect breaking point to murder Deathwatch infantry.
I also played into him around 2, and I was, I think, 95-50 when I played
Okay.
him. Yeah, I played a similar matchup into him. I was on demons, not the demons everyone expects. I was
We
trying
played
out
two of the
scintillating
same
legion.
players, huh? Interesting.
No.
Oh, you meant last time
Yeah.
you were down
I
here. You
played
played into.
Logan, the Ultramarines player, at the last big event, in the last round. My rounds were round 1, the person who actually took down the event, another out-of-towner. I travel for these events. Gentleman named Guy playing Hypercrypt Necrons, which was a tar pit list. It was 2 bricks of 20 warriors that just string all the way back to the like all of the reanimation stuff. All of the characters are hidden behind a wall, and they string out all the way out. You shoot them down, and they return all of them. There was one point where I shot, killed 4, and 5 stood back up.
I hate that
That happened repeatedly. The game was very like there was a couple of times I forgot to do secondaries in like turn 3 because I felt like I needed to do stuff, but I really should have just done the secondaries. I had containment and cleanse, and then everything that it could shoot did, and I forgot that I had 2 action secondaries. Oops. A really good game though. I was on Scintillating Legion, these Zeech demons. 20 pink horrors with Flux Masters making the -1 to hit is a nightmare to try and deal with bookkeeping wise, especially when you have what I'd like to describe as O's of the moment for saves. The Scintillating Legion Flux tokens is I start the game with 3, I spend a token to reroll most things. If I do, you get it. It in reality functions. I think I got really high on this one after I saw it do well, and then I played a couple rounds and was really impressed with it. I'm still impressed with it. It just does not have the efficacy. It's very strat reliant. If you can't use your strats effectively, you start to fall off. Its killing power is not amazing, and it's very mentally taxing because pink horrors are a nightmare. 10, 3, T3, 1 wound, 4 up invulnerable bodies that if you don't kill the whole squad, start splitting, and as they start splitting, they just go
4 up invuln, you said?
4 up invuln.
Fuck that shit. I thought it was some bullshit demon save, and it was just annoying that they were -1 to hit. 4 up invuln save, -1 to hit. Cool.
4 up invuln says -1 to hit, and if you don't wipe the squad, you have more to deal with. Because
Do
it's
you have
very
to
often
wipe them? Do you have to wipe them in one activation, or is it at the end of the shooting?
activation. So what'll happen is like I'm gonna put this gladiator lancer that has a billion guns into them. Cool. I killed 9 of them. I split. I get 10 blue. I get 1 pink and 10 blues, and then something else will shoot at them. And now I have 5 and then 5 brimstones or 1 5 brimstones. Just it splits and it gets up and down and up and down. And then because of the way
Jeez.
the recovery works on demons is if I make a battle shock test, I can return a heal wounds, or in the case of battle line units, which pink horrors are, you can return models. And if you have a single pink horror left in the unit, you can return a pink horror back to the unit when you do that, making it just it does this back and forth. I was doing a practice game to get ready for this event, and I warmed up and I took 1 unit of pink horrors with the character that had gotten whittled down to like 2 blues, a brimstone, and 2 pinks. That was all that was left was that and the character. And my opponent charged and shot 2 keepers of secrets, a screamer, and an entire unit of plague bearers into this blob and failed to kill it. It's so absurdly resilient. It tar pits like crazy. The list is a lot of fun. It's just very, very taxing.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I played round 1 into Necrons, which was a very fun game. Round 2 was into the Deathwatch player you played. I felt a little bad because I have this tendency to play armies that say, it's going to sound like I'm cheating, I promise you I'm not.
Mine
Because
is
of
like
the
that because I tell them this is not the most shenanigans of that Gene Stealer cults can do, but it's still a lot more. Like I'm like, oh yeah, my characters can blow up. Oh yeah, also some of my characters come back to life, and then some of my units too. Also I can make you -1 to wound, and also I can be +1 to wound, and my charge is always one. It
well, but
sounds
like
like I'm making up the rules.
those all are like really powerful things. The one that makes it sound like I'm cheating is I'm going to spend a CP. I'm going to roll a die. The number that shows up on that die misses. It's not -1. It's that misses. So what I did is someone
Get this
went into
age.
melee
Hey,
against
get
my
your
team.
Age of Sigmar out of my 40k.
My friend Wyatt describes that list as a narrative list. So you go into a unit of pink horrors. You're fighting them. You're -1 to hit. Oh yeah, and your 5s miss. So you're hitting me on 4s and 6s.
So realistically, it's -2 to hit.
Yeah, mathematically speaking, it's functionally an additional -1 to hit. But if you roll a 6, it actually stops things like sustain or lethal.
Oh, damn.
And if you don't like the number, you can spend one of the flex tokens to re-roll it to try again. It's like that. That sounds like I'm cheating.
Oh, I
The
guess I get. So if you roll like a 1, are you kind of screwed because you're like your ones were gonna miss anyway? Oh, okay. Okay, I
yeah,
guess that sounds a little less. That I guess that's got a potential to. I mean, again, it's the RNG. It's
yeah.
that's funny. That's
I've had
funny.
that happen where I rolled a 1, cool, re-roll it. 2, they're hitting on 3s.
You're like,
Okay.
well,
And then like the other one, there's an enhancement that you take on the Lord of Change, which when determining a line of sight for that model, you do not draw a line of sight from that model. You choose a unit within 9 inches of that model, then pick a model within that unit and draw a line of sight from that model as though it were your original one.
fuck you,
That gets
indirect.
around lone operative.
Oh, that sucks.
It gets around lone operative. It gets around weird ass angles. It ignores cover. So I went to shoot into a Hexmark Destroyer in that first round, and my Lord of Change was on the other side of the table. And I had strung out a couple of Screamers across the board so that one of them was within 12 and the other one was within 9. So I was able to shoot like 25 inches away into this lone operative model for
Goddamn.
assassinate. And it's very much like if you don't know what it does, it feels like I'm cheating, and it's very silly. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend anyone who has the models try it. It's so much fun, but it's a nightmare to play for 3 rounds. Which is why I'm pivoting to another type of list, and I'll get to that in a second.
That's for
My third
your
round was Chaos
game.
Space Marines. It was I played a lot of like high-end competitive CSM in my practice games, but the person I play with the most outside of my partner is a CSM player. Fuck you, Wyatt. Um, Wyatt and a couple other people have invited me to be on a team that is for
Ooh,
a teams event in a couple of weeks. We have a member of the U.S. team who's playing in Poland right now. Nick Fromm
damn.
is on our team, and I'm very excited because I could just let him do all of the carrying, and I would have sit here and be like, I'm included.
I'm part of the team.
So
I'm
I
in the
play a lot of CSM.
Is Nick from Pacific Northwest
Yeah.
Warlord?
Nick
I'm in
Fromm is one of the PNW warlords, and
okay.
Bailey Storm, who's also one of the members, is also on our team.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Bailey.
we were all posting our ITC rankings, and they were like, "I'm 300th in the world," and I'm like, "3700th, baby!" I also made a joke that I was the in the top 20 of Sisters player in all of the Western United States.
Hey, you're higher up there than I am for demons by a little bit. I
Well,
think I was 39th.
you're right. I'm a better player than you. That's the real takeaway.
You're on an official team. I just get invited to team events.
Yeah, my living situation is frivolous. Otherwise, I would have tried to get up there and do that. But I'll probably do Storm of Silence in a
I'm
little bit.
excited for Storm.
Me too.
Um,
I'm hoping Gene Stealers will be normal by then, and they'll have figured some stuff out, or that they'll have repointed sisters to make them not
I'm
bottom of the
hoping you're
fucking barrel.
comfortable with them, and that's what matters there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would have fun with it. I just got yeah. I gotta get faster. I I need to figure out the other stuff. Like I think I've got the melee part of it, but I think I need to think better about how to use the other parts of the army. Shift a few things around, maybe throw a few new characters. I really want to throw a solo Sanctus in there because it's got editing. Why look it up? Because it's so silly. Um,
Gotta love those silly models.
Okay, the Sanctus is only 50 points. The Sanctus is their sniper rifle guy. And you're like,
Ooh,
oh,
yeah.
cool. They have an insane anti-psyker heavy precision rifle that does 3 damage. It's one shot. Who's that killing? That's killing Gene Stealer cult things. It's killing It's not even killing a Canoness. Uh, in melee, if you give them the Sanctos Bio Dagger, you get 6 attacks, hitting on 2s. Precision, Anti-Infantry 3, AP 2 damage. And if you give him the he has Deep Strike, Infiltrator, Lone Op, and Stealth. If he's got the dagger, can't be overwatched. You cannot use fire overwatch against him. Um, and because you're going to send him into a unit, snipe out the captain, and die, you can, at the beginning of the battle, select one enemy unit, and anytime your model makes an attack that targets that one, you re-roll the hit and wound. So, once again, 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling, anti-infantry 3, re-rolling, AP 2 damage, precision. Goodbye, Space Marine
You
Captain.
die.
I guess
It'd be great
strength
if it had
3
death
is...
wounds.
Dev wounds would have been stupid, because then you would be... Yeah. Then it would be like almost an
That's
auto with
a
the
sick
rerolls.
model.
It would be
What are you looking to cut from
yeah.
that?
I a couple of things. There's a truck that I've just been putting units that need to be moving around and doing. The truck's not useful. My big unit of aberrants has the infiltrate ability. I had a Keller morph that I was probably going to drop. I do like that he has deep strike. I've gotten some good things, but my list is so high pressure that it's usually not too hard to get things into like places that I need them. Like all my random backup things. Um, I'm shifting around a couple of units of acolytes for neophytes just because the acolytes are only 5 models for the same cost of 10 neophytes. And they both instantly die, but with 10 shots or 10 models, you're more likely to recover some, and it's a lot more OC on certain things. What else did I think that the main thing I dropped was the truck, I think I think it was just the truck and the Keller morph that I'm currently thinking about dropping. Oh, that's adding an abominant too. What else did I drop? Oh, I dropped it was just a biophagus. Just because you want a character leading your aberrants, so they get -1 to wound.
Yeah. It's and then you've got the whole brick of that unit, that list is 20 aberrants and 20 pure strange beam stealers, if I
It's
remember correctly.
15 pure strains. It's 15 just because you want when the pure strains tend to get in first with maybe the infiltrating. It's usually the 15 pure strains and the 10 aberrants can get in first. I've thought, and one of the reasons that's okay is because you kind of want all the gene stealers to die first. One, because you can then drop them into your second line and get them right back into the fight very quickly. The
So
aberrants
they are
take
your first
forever.
and second waves.
They're your first and second wave. Yeah, the aberrants take forever. I don't think I've ever brought any aberrants back because even the 5, like anything that's killing aberrants is shooting at the 10-man brick, and the pure strains tend to just die to small arms fire. They do have the invulnerable save, so they can occasionally spike and absorb an insane amount of if they're just taking 1 damage. 1 damage attacks take a long time to get through Gene Stealers, but they're only T4.
They take bolter fire rather than melt of fire,
Exactly. Um,
where
the
the inverse is true for the abominants.
kind of the problem, the problem kind of is it would be very nice to be able to, and this might be how I think about it, is actually letting the pure strains die and counting and trying to bring back more aberrants because you can bring back 10 aberrants in any combination and realistically you're not because the 10 block is going. The problem is you're working with you have 10 points total. Aberrants are 5 for 5. Gene stealers are 3 for 5, so you can bring back 15 gene stealers or 10 aberrants. But then it gets weird
Exactly.
because if you bring back 1 aberrant and 1 gene stealer, you have 2 points left over. Well, you have 3 points left over, but nothing that I use is 3 points. No, I did that
Are
wrong.
not do you not have general
No,
chaff in
sorry.
the list?
No, sorry, I did the math wrong. It's 5 and 3 points, so you have 2 points left over, which is one of your little chaff units. But also, weirdly, those units tend to not die because they're just back on objectives or in corners doing secondaries. Which again is not a problem. Like I could throw something small up onto a point to try to flood it and make them focus on that.
Or
But I
Bluesky.
think where my list does fall short is I don't have a lot of late game damage because my vehicles go away. They've got there's a few mining lasers. There's a few random, every unit of neophytes has a random mining laser. Um, the vehicles both have mining lasers. But yeah, it's there's not a lot of pieces to mess with. So a lot of part of me is like maybe I should stick with the same list. One just because I guess I got it painted. Um,
That
this
is a
current
good
list would
reason.
need me to paint a aberrant and a or an abominant and a sanctus. Um, oh, but then I still have another 50 points, which isn't enough to do anything with. I think that's why I was looking at
Another
this as
Sanctus.
no, the sanctus is 50. Uh Well, I have 100 points left over in the list, adding the Abominant and taking out the two things. I can add a Sanctus for 50, but nothing else super useful is 50. The Killer Morph is, I could do two Sanctuses and drop one
That's what
in.
I was getting at. Another Sanctus.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. That would be, it would be very funny to throw one into a corner to do a action and then have him go snipe you know, a deep strike blocker or something like that, or run up and stab a Space Marine captain from behind with his little dagger.
I think being able to have those super efficient, just like, hey, I have lone operative and I deep strike, and I'm one tiny base and just gonna go right back here. So you have to turn around to engage with them, and they don't just die easily.
Because the Killer
Will do a
Morph
lot
has
of work.
Lone Up, but the Killer Morph does not have Stealth.
Lone
Whereas
operative is
the
better than stealth by a
well,
lot.
he has Lone Up, but he doesn't. The Sanctus has Lone Up and Stealth and Infiltrate and well, everyone has Deep Strike.
Hey, I know what that's like.
3 wounds, 3-5. Yeah, he's a little better. The Killer Morph can move away, but he also kind of don't really want. He can like basically shoot, but it's not Overwatch, like as Overwatch, but it's just a regular shooting. And he
He
what is it?
moves when he
He
does it, right?
can That's per turn.
By insane
It can
Overwatch.
shoot. Oh, and then make a normal move of up to D6. Oh, I thought you rolled a D6. Oh wait, no, you
Well,
do. You
it's
do roll a D6. Sorry.
normal move
So
of up to 1d6 inches.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. So he can basically do a very effective Overwatch, although I'm always unimpressed with the Killer Morph's shooting.
It's
Um,
more the fire and fade mechanic. So
yeah,
it's a reactive move more than it is in Overwatch, but it's an Overwatch that goes, hey, pop, 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 and then I get my reactive move.
yeah. They're not precision anymore, which is the thing that was decent with them. They're not precision
Yeah,
and they're only one damage. They're T6. That's way better than I don't know. I'll play around with it. I might go back to my old list and just try to get a bunch of reps with it because it's not that different than
mhm.
what I think I would normally do.
I think
Um,
getting the reps with the specific list is going to be significantly more valuable to you than trying to nitpick out 100 points. Um, get comfortable with the list, get the timelines down to be within the 3 hour window, and then you can juggle like, is this better or is this better? Do I want this or do I want this?
yeah.
Just because then you have an actual idea of what you're looking at. You're not just kind of guessing. You're making that assumption based off of evidence. I
Hit
am
points.
similarly reevaluating my list. By completely overhauling it and leaving the Zeech detachment. um, I'm actually going back to where I was before the Grotmeth detachments and going with a demonic incursion, big stompy monsters list, with the
Hell yeah.
caveat that it's the biggest stompiest of monsters.
Oh my god, you can call
Um,
it the Demon's Farewell Tour. Sorry, Demons players.
you know what?
Hmm. You're welcome.
Back at you. For those who are listening and not watching, I am proceeding to reciprocate the flipping off. Um,
That's not true. They are giving me heart. They're code switching between the Millennial Heart and the Gen Z Heart, which is fascinating.
purely
Good
with
job.
middle fingers.
Yeah, with middle fingers. I don't know how they did that. My
I,
heart is so deformed.
I mean, heart disease, different situation. Um, but so the list is four named greater demons, kind of. We have Be'lakor, we have Shalaxi, Skarbrand, and the Big Chongus, which is the regular Grand and Clean one with the Endless Gift enhancement out of Demonic Incursion that everyone knows and hates because it never dies.
It really doesn't.
It's that, one unit of Plague Bearers, 3x3 Fiends, and then 3x3 Screamers. The Screamers, for me over the weekend, overperformed by comparison. They fly over, they pick up a model or two, and then they charge and kill things. They kill things really well.
Hmm.
Like way better than they used to. So ended up playing two practice games yesterday with this list into the same Tyranids player. One in the morning, one in the evening. In the morning game, I didn't quite know what I was doing yet into the matchup, and this is a fixed Tyranids player. He is a built to do engage in all fronts and behind enemy lines every turn.
Damn.
And the first game he did.
That Screamer stat line is insane. 3 wounds is also really annoying with the invuln save.
The biggest
Anti-monster,
thing about
anti-vehicle
them
4.
is you will always you'll put in enough firepower to you think kill them, and then one of them lives on one limit.
85 fucking points. Get out of here.
Um, and so in the game, what are the things that happened is I staged three of them in the middle to go fly over and position to take area denial. So I got little area denial turn one, and then my opponent like took a Haruspex on one side and a like kind of a halfway around the corner, and then a Maleceptor in the middle. So I 6-inch deep strike the great and clean one there, charged into that, and yeah, and then on one side of it there was Exocrine, Maleceptor, Maleceptor, Haruspex in one corner. Um, so I deep struck. Or I didn't. I moved Be'lakor around the corner so that he was able to get about 9 inches away from one of them. I then from there I 6-inch deep strike Shalaxi and Skarbrand. Sent Shalaxi into one, Skarbrand into another, Be'lakor into a third, Great and Clean one into a fourth. The Screamers go into the same one as the Great and Clean one. Um, I pick up all but one of them. And hilariously, it's the one that should have died is the one that survived. It's the one
Wild.
that Shalaxi went into. It lived on one because it had an invuln save. The rest of them did not. This was the second game that we played. And one of the things that I took away from this was I screened him out 100% out of my deployment zone turn one. Just took the effort, made sure it couldn't happen. And I did that on turn two also. Just made it so he could not get Spore Mines back there. Couldn't do it. And
Remind me, why
then
does he want
just
Spore Mines back there?
so he's behind enemy lines.
I thought you couldn't score with things like Spore Mines.
You can't perform actions with them, but they still count as
Yeah.
models.
Well, there you go.
So he basically what he did is he went, here's my one Biovore in the back corner. Here's 3 Solo Rippers. Here's 2 Lictors. Just all of these things that are designed to find the little hole that you've left and put something there to score. And then you come back around and you kill it on your turn. But then I do it again. And I keep doing that. In order for you to do that, you have to interact with me. So what I did is I took my Plague Bears, screened out my entire one side, and then a unit of Fiends on the other side. It was one of those like staggered deployments.
Oh, sure.
So I did that, and I just kept him out. And it turned out
Oh,
that
because
being able to,
sorry, did he pick fixed missions? Was he doing
yeah,
fixed?
he was
Gotcha.
fixed
Okay.
behind enemy lines, engaging all fronts. His whole
Gotcha.
goal was to do that every turn. So I just screened him out so he couldn't do it. And then instead of moving those units forward to be able to position them, I just left them there and kept that entire area screened out for a whole nother turn, depriving him of like 14 secondary points overall across two
Damn.
turns before I even was able to do, like, even tried to do anything with them. And then throwing all of those demons into those things, he throws a Hive Tyrant into my Screamers and a Harvest into the other side of them. Kills all but one of them, or kills one of them, so I pull it out of the way of the one that he hasn't fought with yet. And then pile in and kill that thing with the Great Unclean One and it. It was the Hive Tyrant specifically. And now all of a sudden I have two Screamers that are free to go do whatever I want with them. I flew them back and they recovered assets the next turn.
Nice.
Just like they're so surprisingly durable that it's kind of wild. And their output is insane. I'm really liking this list. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I need to get painting.
Hell yeah. You got a lot of painting to do, and so do
I
I.
always have a lot of painting to do.
Yeah. You said I was wondering what you meant when you were like, I'm gonna finish my painting backlog. I was like, so see you in 2032 when the asteroid hits?
I'm going to finish my to-do list for the
To-do
tournament.
list is different than that. Yes. No.
I have 9 fiends and an 80% finished Scarbrand to finish by the 22nd. Next 22nd. This 22nd, I'm doing absolutely nothing. You could fight me over that. It's the day before my birthday.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think you were right. So, with that, thank you all for listening. Um, Julie, where can our audience find you at places?
You can find me on TikTok mainly. I'm Titan of Joy or Jubilee Titan of Joy. I'm Jubilee the person, not Jubilee the problematic content aggregate, a debate website. Um, who I will shortly be challenging to a debate, so I can stop panicking every time someone goes, Jubilee knows exactly what they were doing when, and I panic. It's become a quarterly tradition of me freaking out every time I go, what did I do? I've just been yelling at the camera about Warhammer. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on YouTube. Find me on YouTube, Lemonade, Chow Hung Shu. Yeah, we also have a website.
Yeah, it's down in the link just below.
There is a link to a Warhammer Discord server that is very LGBTQ and beginner friendly. We've got some brand new players, and we've got some experienced players, and we have people who inexplicably got known for doing this. And I'm all three of those things.
I
Um,
mean,
there's also a merch store on there. We've got some very cute shirts. We've got a plastic with and plastic without. We have a cute little Glittervoid thing, and yeah, you can go check all of that stuff out. And I think that's pretty much it. How about you, Dina? Where can people find you?
you can't really find me a whole lot of places anymore. Anywhere that I am, you can find me on the name Rampant DNA. I do still have profiles on all of the places, but I don't really check them anymore. I'm on Bluesky every so often. I've got a TikTok. It's got some interesting stuff that I used to talk about. Um, and my Twitter is full of old unhinged rants if you ever want to go like deep diving into the weird elements that are my brain. Um,
And we also have the Glittervoid podcast has a YouTube channel.
yes, you may very well be watching this on that YouTube channel.
And
Um,
if you're not, but you want to see our lovely faces and my fantastic, the apotheosis of Heracles, shit, I'm crushing this. Anyway, yeah, if you want to see our faces while we do it, in our little hobby closets, you can watch us on YouTube.
eventually we'll have other stuff there besides this podcast. I just don't know what to
Yeah,
put there.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Eventually. Thank you all for listening. Plastic Within.
Plastic without. Bye.
Bye.